We are now joined by a very special guest. Can we call him a legend? I think we're going to. Legendary investor Peter Lynch. He is with us from Boston this morning to share his perspective on the economy, markets, and the work he's doing for the Catholic Schools Foundation. Peter, of course, is the vice chairman of Fidelity Management and Research and advisory board member of Fidelity Funds. From 1977 to 1990, he managed the Magellan Fund, growing it from, you ready for this, $20 million to $14 billion in 1990 at the time of his retirement. Buy what you know is what Peter taught us, and it's so nice to see you this morning, Peter.
Good to be here.
So let's talk about buy what you know. I'm so curious these days how you're thinking about the economy.
Well, I think people that are investing in individual stocks, it's sad they're careful when they buy a refrigerator or an airplane flight. They're careful with their money, and they'll hear about a stock on the bus, and they'll put $5,000 or $10,000 on it. They have no idea what they do. So you're really going to be careful. Look at the company, look at the balance sheet. What is the reason the stock should be higher? The sucker's going up is not a good reason.
Is your sense, though, that the style of investing that you pioneered is still doable and winnable today?
Well, I think looking for something different, looking for something that's a good story. I mean, who would have guessed TJX, a local company, would have gone up 50-fold, or Stop and Shop would go up 10-fold, or Analog Devices, or NVIDIA. I couldn't pronounce NVIDIA. So you have to find a company that's either a turnaround or a company that's going to grow, like Panera or, Family Dollar stores. I'm not saying that buys now, but that's what's made our, Sears is rolled over. So Kmart's rolled over, IBM slowed down. But we've had new companies come along. I mean, that's the nature. You have to be looking for new companies and look at the balance sheet. If you can add 5 and 5 and get reasonably close to 10, you should be able to look at a balance sheet and say, here's two depressed companies. They've gone from 50 to 3. One company's got $3 million in cash and no debt. One's got $3 million in debt, no cash. Which one are you going to buy? I mean, that's not too hard to do.
Peter, I watched you closely because I was in the business back then, and do you remember how many S&Ls went from mutuals to stock trade that you made just buku bucks on back then? I mean, I don't know if you missed any of those, and they were all big winners. They're all big winners. They were all big winners back then. What do you think of the financial sector right now and what happened? We saw with First Republic, and I'd just like to get your insight there since you were so good at that sector.
We had a terrible financial crisis in 1991. I think almost every major bank in Texas went under. Bank of New England, one of the oldest banks in the country, went under. It's like, in 08, 09, the banks were doing these no-doc loans and second mortgages and home improvement loans, and people were buying boats with it. Now the banks are being much more careful. So we've gone through other crises. Some banks will go under. 400 went under after 08, 09. Now we have stress tests. I think the banking system has improved. There'll be some companies go under. That's the nature of it. It's nothing like, imagine 1980, 81, we had double-digit inflation, double-digit unemployment, and people worried the Japanese were going to take over the world. I mean, we were hopeless. I mean, there's always something to worry about. I'd really, in my over 50 years of doing this, I think I'd be worried if there was, somebody didn't bring up something to worry about. That's the nature of the business.
I was joking because I'm a Reagan guy, and I was there. I started at Merrill in 1981, so I remember what happened. Yeah. I remember my feelings in 1981, and I remember my feelings how I felt by 1985. Ugly. And you had a tailwind. I had a tailwind because of what we did. We're not going to do that again. We're not going to cut taxes. We're not going to stimulate the private sector. We're kind of headed the other way. Did you have a tailwind? Will we ever have a tailwind again with this generation?
Well, we've had 13 recessions since World War II, and we've had 13 recoveries. Maybe we're going to have one. If this is a recession, it's probably the most predicted one ever. I never know when we're going to go. I'd love to know the future. I think it would help. I'd be a better investor. I'd pay $5 extra for next year's Wall Street Journal. It would really help. Right. I cannot predict the future, but this recession is so expected, so predicted. Maybe it's coming. I don't know.
Peter, I have a question about story stocks and buying what you know. I remember reading about an interview with you many, many years ago where you were talking about walking through a mall and being able to touch the merchandise and feel it and see it. And then I think to myself that we now live in this digital age, this digital universe. and how difficult it may be to walk through the store and feel it and see it in the same way. This is especially true of crypto and other things which are almost an abstraction, and how you think about investing in those things today. I mean, you know, Warren Buffett, for a long time, stayed away from technology, in part because I think he felt it was an abstraction.
Yeah. But he bought Apple. Apple was not that hard to understand. I mean, how dumb was I? My daughters bought us an iPod, you know, for, I think, $250. I think they're making on that for my music. And they're making only $50 on their computers, not doing very well. But then nice balance sheet. And, you know, I should have done some work in Apple. Amazing. That's not a complicated company. The iPod financed the iPhone. I mean, here's a great story. Look at Analog Devices. Look at Teradyne. Look at TJ Maxx. Look at the turnaround of Target. I mean, you can see these companies coming. Look at Wingstop. I tried those wings. Wow. I'm not saying that buys now, but they're out there. Look for a company that's going to do well in the next few years, 5 years. Look at their balance sheet, or look at a turnaround. When companies go from crappy to semi-crappy, the stock goes up. When it goes from semi-crappy to good, they go up. When business gets to be terrific, get out.
Hey, Peter, Ron Barron, another investor, is a huge fan of yours. He wrote me to say that he's passing on the Spotify conference call right now because he wanted to watch you and hear what you had to say. He also said that he spoke with you recently about SpaceX. Ron's an investor in SpaceX. Are you an investor? Is this one of those companies that you're talking about? And what did you think about the explosion of the rocket last week?
I'm definitely an investor. I own stocks this minute. I'm going to research stocks this afternoon. I'll research them tomorrow. It's very entertaining. It's very enjoyable. But you have to do some homework. And you have to look at companies that other people aren't looking at. To look at companies that are depressed. But make sure, my great experience with the textile industry, there's a great expression in the textile industry, it's always dark before pitch black. So because business is terrible, it can get terrible squared. So wait till things get better. Some signs of things getting better. You have an edge. You might be in that industry where things are starting to improve. There's a lot of positive coming along. The price of oil has gone from over 100. It's now 80. 1 year out is 78. Natural gas has gone from $8 an MCF to $2.30. I mean, we've added over 6 million jobs in 21, 22, over 1 million jobs in the first quarter. A lot of people at the bottom part of the economy have had significant raises. We get minimum wage, many states up to 22. These people deserve it. You know, so I think, you know, there's a lot of positives, a lot of negatives. I don't know what the market's going to do next year. But if you need the money, if you're sending somebody to college in a year, or you're buying a house in a year, you're not a good investor. 1 or 2 years, you can flip a coin.
But is SpaceX a company that you're
10% since World War II. I'm sorry?
I'm sorry, is SpaceX a company that you're invested in?
Did you say Baytex?
SpaceX, the Elon Musk. I'm sorry, I may not be speaking clearly. SpaceX, the Elon Musk company?
I can't comment on what I own, but I tend to own small cap or out of favor companies that other people aren't looking at.
Right.
And, you know,
Peter, something that a lot
I couldn't
of
pronounce NVIDIA. NVIDIA's been a huge stock. I wish I could have pronounced it and done some research.
Peter, a lot of folks do own, and some have gotten burned and some made a lot of money on Bitcoin. What do you think?
I mean, I can't pronounce crypto. I mean, you know, that tends to me. I can spell it. I definitely can pronounce it. But I mean, what Bitcoin's going to be, I have no idea.
That's not your thing. You haven't done any homework on it? You know how it works? You understand blockchain? Read any?
I do understand, and I know how it works. Yeah, you do? Absolutely. I know there's a halving coming.
There's what?
He said there's a halving company.
Yeah, there is a halving company, but you don't own any.
I don't own Bitcoin, no.
Okay.
Or Ether coin, or Joe's coin, or Becky's coin, or Andrew's coin.
Right. But I'll tell you something you're doing that's very cool, which is you're trying to raise some money for the Catholic School Foundation. Tell us about what you're doing.
Well, for 13 years I ran Magellan. You're nice to comment on that. But 33 years I've been raising money for there's 37 inner city Catholic schools in Boston. You know, these over 11,000 children, 70% of color, over 75% are single-parent families. These are people working 2 jobs or 1 job, and they're still only slightly above the poverty line. And unfortunately, our schools aren't free. So we give scholarships to these needy kids. We have a 2% dropout rate. Incredible success story. And we're trying to raise more money to keep these children in school. Our schools have done a great job for 150 years of helping immigrants. They speak over 30 languages, 30 in our schools. These are great families. They need our schools. But unfortunately, we need help. So we helped 4,000 children last year. Right. It's a great cause. Thank you.
Peter, we want to thank you for joining us this morning. It's always great to talk to you.
Are you still?
Come on back.
Are you still a screaming eagle, Peter? Or are you you talk Wharton or Boston College? Which you remember more fondly? Every screaming eagle I knew was fanatic.
I was lucky. I went to a great public school. My father took sick when I was 7, died when I was 10. My mother was intellectually challenged. But I grew up in Newton.
Right.
I had great public schools. So we've given over $5 million to the Boston Public Schools. We're doing lots of programs to help public schools. The most important thing, 90% of your brain is developed by age 6. We really got to help young children get a positive start. That's the key to life.
Mm-hmm. Excellent point. Peter, thank you. We appreciate it.
Thank you. Terrific.